Hello and welcome to the Gallant Few Rangers podcast. My name is Colin and I'm delighted to be your host this evening. My first time hosting, talking about the actual football because Rangers are back. Not quite competitive just yet, but at least we've been able to watch them at Ibrox. It's been a long time coming. Here to not look too much into pre-season friendlies, considering we got beat. First of all, Mason Stewart, how are you, mate?
Yeah, all good. Thanks, Colin. Thanks for having us on again. It's nice to talk about a game. It feels like absolutely ages since we had a game to talk about. So they're coming thick and fast now. So good to be back.
Also joining us is Chris Hampton. How are you, my man?
I'm good, thanks, Colin. No such thing as a friendly. All games are important. Bail out. Nah, I'm looking. It's good to have in a serious note. It's good to have the football back. Do you know what I mean? And I couldn't make the game on Tuesday. I watched it, but I couldn't make it. But so I'm buzzing to go back on Saturday.
I'll be honest, I'm so fickle when it comes to friendlies. When we beat Real Madrid, we were on our way to win the Champions League, the World Cup and the Super Bowl as far as I'm concerned. After Tuesday, it's a fucking training game. It doesn't matter. I stand by my own hypocrisy. Also joining us, representing the young team, and we're in a lovely tap. I think we're wearing the same tap tonight, Andrew. It's Andrew Stewart. How are you?
I've got the new one.
Fuck you then.
I mean, that's what you say. All good. You can't have a good Ranger strip if you don't win anything in it, and that's the 55 shirt you're wearing. So I'm hoping that this will be classed as a good shirt by the end of the season when you say, we do win the Super Bowl and the league and was it into Total Cup? Bring it back just so we can win it. I have to say that tonight is going to be a more somber podcast for myself. Tonight's obviously the Scott Wright Remembrance podcast. We wish him all the best. I certainly do. But as I said, I worship the shrine of Scott Wright, Rabbi Matondo and Borna Barisic. So you know what you get from me.
I genuinely thought you would have turned up with a black armband on the night.
I couldn't find it. It's in here somewhere.
Will we have a minute's silence?
Some of the listeners say that's probably better content than what we usually give them. But on that note, hello to all the listeners watching live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Good to see all the regular faces. The names, fucking hell. All the regular names popping up. Just a wee call to arms. If you don't already, give a wee like, subscribe, follow wherever you get your podcast. It is much appreciated. Mason, so we'll crack off. I know you were watching the game on Tuesday. I think pre-season friendlies, I joked at the start, you can never look too much into them. Once you beat Real Madrid, you can't get too high because it doesn't mean anything. You did beat you off Newcastle, you can't get too low because, again, it doesn't mean anything. But what I think is important is players getting minutes and how new signings are gelling in and just really how sharp the players look. What was your overall thoughts on the game on Tuesday?
Well, yeah, it was exciting to see some new signings and especially in that front line because I feel like we've had the same front line for such a long time. But it is all about fitness. I think listening sort of to the post match from the players and the manager as well, they said that the legs were heavy. Obviously, done a lot of running in Germany, so I did think we looked a little bit off it maybe in that first half. Newcastle were a really good side, by the way, and it was just a constant press. And we couldn't really get out. But the changes in the second half, I think we looked a lot better, and I think that was due to probably Raskin. I thought Raskin come on, and he was not just saying it, but I thought he was the best player in the park second half, and he just changed our midfield. So that was really good to see. But yeah, as I said, that first game, a little bit surprised to play maybe an opposition of Newcastle as the first one. We normally play someone a little bit, less, as good as that, and then we get 3 or 4 goals and go from there. So to go straight in with a good opposition, I think, gonna put us in good stead for the next few games.
Chris, I know you watched the game as well. I think at times Newcastle did look a cut above Rangers. I think there's maybe spells that Rangers came in the second half. What was your overall? I'm just looking at the team lineup here. What was your overall thoughts on the new players who started? So we talk about Dow, Lammers, and Sima. What did you take away from them?
I think Sima we were kind of playing him out of position. I think we were punting the high ball up to him. I don't think that's his game. I felt a wee bit sorry for him. He was kind of hung out to dry that wee bit. Lammers had some neat touches. He had a wee good wee move in the second half, and he took his goal well. We read it well. Do you know what I mean? He intercepted it. I think it was a bit like Tillman's interception in Eindhoven, where he anticipated it and he pounced on it. Took his goal well as well. And Danilo was the one I was kind of least excited about when we signed, but I thought he looked not bad at all. Quite quiet, obviously never lasted the full game, but I don't think any of them had a bad game. I think the players that would have a bad game were the like kind of Barisic and Lundstrom, the ones that have been there for a while. They were the only two I'd point out. I thought they looked all right. I think Lammers will surprise a few, and I know it's a friendly, but it's always good to get off the mark, especially at Ibrox. You know what I mean? Especially in front of the Copeland Road end, it'll do his confidence the world of good. And I mean, it's better opposition. When you get Ibrox against the lesser teams, players like that will shine.
Absolutely. I think it is a strange one, the level of opposition. Usually you see Rangers building up in terms of quality, and I think you both touched it in there. Obviously, we went for a fourth-tier German team to the fourth best team in England. I don't think we play Newcastle as early on if it wasn't for Alan McGregor's testimonial. And that probably leads me to my first point, Andy. I'll bring you in. We've seen Jack Butland. Well, no, we've seen Jack Butland play in the bounce games and the game against Germany. Also, it was Alan McGregor in the six, so it doesn't really tell us too much about the goalkeeping situation. I think we've waxed lyrical about Alan McGregor over the last couple of months in terms of his retirement. The point I do want to come on to, but is how you see in the goalkeeping situation with Robbie McCrory looking likely to move on. That news is broke this week. For me, I get it, I understand it. For him, it's probably right. I'm a bit disappointed as a Rangers fan that we're going to lose our second best keeper, in my opinion.
Yeah, I second you there, mate. I mean, I said over the kind of post-season there that I think you're going to have a real battle between Butland and McCrory for the starting jersey. I think Butland was probably going to have the kind of early new signing bias, you want to call it that. You'll probably get the kind of nod early doors because, new signing, you need to make sure that you're at least give them when we start. And hoping that you're going to see McCrory play most of all the cup games and even the games where you're coming back off like a long trip in Europe, maybe. But unfortunately, it looks like he's gonna be moving on, which, as I said, is unfortunate. Fair play to the lad. I mean, you can't be too frustrated because we were all buzzing when we said, "Oh, Butland's doing the right thing. He could sit on the bench somewhere and earn a lot of money down south, but he's coming up. He wants to be a first keeper. He wants to be a starting keeper," and we all thought that was really good. So we kind of have to be the same with McCrory when he wants to move on and be a starting keeper somewhere as well. And he's a good Rangers lad. He's been in the club since he was 8 years old. It's a bit sad, because obviously we have to answer questions on who will be the backup keeper now. But he goes with my best wishes, obviously. Similar to maybe the way Liam Kelly was a few years back. He left it and went to QPR full time, was their starting keeper, and then he moved back up to Motherwell. So you never know where he could go. Maybe Robbie will do something similar.
Mason, do we need to go and get another goalie? And that's going to be the theme throughout tonight. We are going to jump back and forth from the game on Tuesday and talk about certain areas, but like Walter Smith himself, we start for the back. Do we need another goalkeeper? I'm not convinced John McLaughlin is the answer to number 2.
No, I agree with you, mate. I don't think he is, because all it takes is Butland to get an injury and then we're relying on McLaughlin again, and I'd be really, really worried if he was to come in. But then again, I'm looking at the squad at the moment, and I've got to be honest, a second choice goalkeeper is way down the list. I think there's other areas like that. Yes, go and get first. So, but if we can get another goalkeeper in, to sort of be number 2 and then move on McLaughlin, I think that's one that we've definitely got to do.
Moving further up ahead of the field then, Kris, there's quite a lot of comments coming in about Leon Balogun saying, about his post-match comments. He understands what it means to play for Rangers. I think we all know how well Leon Balogun speaks, and I don't think you can ever doubt the personality of Leon Balogun. I've been one who has probably been a bit critical of the signing. But the reason I come to the centre halves, what was your take on what you seen for the centre halves that played on Tuesday night?
I thought Suter was fine. The boy came on for Leicester, the big boy at the back. I thought he done
Johnny Feckle.
Yeah, I think he done well as well. Davies, he never done anything wrong. Do you know what I mean? He just doesn't fill me with confidence at all. Another centre back I'd like to see come in now. If Davies goes on the other side of it to fund it, or if we're talking obviously about a swap deal, then I'd be all for it. It just, for me, just isn't the level we need. That's not just based on Tuesday night, that's obviously based on last season and the performances we've seen him.
Aye. And obviously, Connor Golson's no match fit yet, and we're expecting him to be, touch wood, I don't want to jinx it, considering the Rangers' history with injuries, but we're expecting him to be back for the start of the season. Leon King is going to be 68 weeks as opposed to 68 months, which is a bad good news. Yeah. Other than an upgrade in Davies, do you think we need anybody else in centre half? Is it just a like-for-like swap for him, do you think?
Just a swap for him. I think with Suter, Goldson, Balogun, King, then somebody else, I think they're more than covered. And obviously, your man, the boy who came on as well, the young boy, I can't say something by him as hell, but the first game of the season's Kilmarnock, there's no way I'm risking Goldson on that pitch, do you know what I mean? I think I wouldn't have him near that. But I think if we get somebody else in, if Davies goes, then I'd be more comfortable with it going into the season. Balogun's not going to come here to play 30 odd games a season. He'll play his part, but he'll be kind of in and out. And as I said last week on, I think Balogun's more a man for in Europe or old firm games. If we've got a 1-goal lead, he'll come on to steady the ship a wee bit if we're kind of against the cosh for the last 15-20 minutes.
Aye, and I think with the Balogun signing, I can understand the value in it, but I would have thought somebody like Johnny Feckle would have been better to maybe step up, or Lewis Mayo. Lewis Mayo, obviously, he's moved on to Kilmarnock for an undisclosed fee. But, I think you're right, Chris, where the manager has looked to bring experience. And for what I now gather, the wages for Leon Balogun aren't massive, but no breaking the bank. So it probably is a more sensible signing than what I first gave credit to. Moving further ahead, Andy, and this is probably where I want everybody's thoughts on. Mason's touched on we still need a few more signings. I think we're only one more signing away, Andy, for completing the midfield. I think and with that, I think if we swap somebody like Cifuentes for Glenn Kamara, I'm so comfortable with the options we've got there. I'm a fan of Jack and Lundstrom as options. There's a certain Belgian hero that we're going to come to at one point, and of course we've got Cantwell, Dill, Lawrence to come back. What's your thoughts on how we're setting up in midfield and what you've seen on Tuesday? It's
good that we've got a lot of players who can jump in. I mean, it means you can set up specifically for opposition. It's nice to have a wee bit extra height in the midfield. I think Dill's quite a big lad. A wee bit more physical. He certainly wasn't afraid to throw the weight around against Newcastle. It's good to have good options. As I hate to always go back to the options I had as somebody growing up, but it's not Ian Black in the mid anymore. We've got some real talent there.
I generally think you've mentioned that in every pod I've been on with you.
Not Ian Black specifically.
We should get a wee Andy Stewart.
I'm throwing in the calls that you try to forget.
Scott Wright, Ballon d'Or, Ian Black's pish, for a full house.
I'm trying to think of another one just to throw in there. Where's Robbie Crawford these days? As I said, he was a midfielder as well. To be fair, if bringing in Jose, I think Jose, I'm sure we'll find out eventually. But I think that's if we somehow manage to fleece $5 million for Glenn Kamara, then I feel like we've won monopoly over that. I think we've just we can sit back and enjoy the future and move on from Kamara's nightmare. I think, as I said, I keep saying if we can get Cifuentes and Danilo over the line, then I think we've made some really good transfer business. I think both of their guys. We talked about losing some assets, sellable assets. When we lose Kent and we lose Morelos and a free and stuff like that, having Danilo, who's young, high upside, Cifuentes, who was already previously linked to a Premier League move. I think those two guys you can maybe, along with the Belgian hero we were talking about, and Cantwell you can throw in there as well. You could get one or two really solid seasons out of, and then you sell on and make some nice money, and then we repeat the cycle over again. And that's just the way we're going to have to be as a club. So it's going to sell low, buy low, sell high. Not the other way around. That would be the Kent and Morelos free transfers I was talking about. I'm happy that we seem to be implementing a really good transfer strategy.
Mason, without further ado, let's move to the We Love Nico Raskin segment of the pod. I thought when he came on Tuesday, he added a lot of energy. He looked really sharp. It might have been helped that he's not had a break because he's been away with the European under-21s. So he by rights, he probably should be a bit sharper. But I think, you put in the group chat that night, enjoy him while we can because he's not going to be there for long.
Yeah, I think that's the case. I think Andy just said make sure we get sort of 2 seasons out of him. I think Raskin this time next summer will be very lucky if we've still got him. I think his development at his age is massive, and it just in that midfield, and you see Jack and Lundstrom and Jack a lot. I've said it last season as well. He gets the ball, and his first thought is just keeping it, and sometimes it's playing back, putting players under pressure, sideways passes. When Raskin comes on, it's 1 or 2 touch, and it's forward every time. I think the biggest thing about him is he knows exactly what he's going to do before he gets it, and he does it with pace. There was times when he's got, Bruno Ramirez charging him down, and it's just 1 touch and he's gone the other way. For me, he's the biggest sort of sellable asset we've got at the moment, but he needs to be the one that we build that midfield around. I think it's so important that we manage his game time as well. And I have noticed with him last season, he's 100 miles an hour. That's the way he plays. I think he needs to be a little bit more. Make sure he lasts 90 minutes, not 60, 70 minute periods as he was sort of when he comes. So it's going to be interesting. I really hope we get the Cifuentes deal done as well, because watching him, he seems a bit, box to box as well. Don't think he's as good as Raskin, but certainly different, but gives legs. And I think, that midfield with the quality we've got going forward now, we need legs in and behind it to back it up.
Kris, staying on Raskin, where is he best deployed in what formation? Because I think he is quite versatile and he can maybe play a couple of positions, but I do think we, as Mason says, I think we should be building the midfield around him and Cantwell and getting the best out of them. I'm thinking Raskin, is he the deep lying number 6? Is he the box-to-box number 8? Where do you see him at his best?
I see him as a box-to-box. I just hope this season he can add goals to his game. That's the only really thing it's missing. But, do you know what I mean? It was his first season coming. It was first half season coming to, should I say. Obviously, we Cantwell coming, Cantwell will score straight away. But for Raskin, it's different. He's coming to a different country. I know, obviously, Cantwell was coming from England, but England just up the road in the car. Do you know what I mean? Raskin's coming from Belgium. He's still young. I think he's just going to be one of the players that's all over the pitch. Do you know what I mean? He'll chip in, and he's a wee warrior. Do you know what I mean? He was going up for headers with people twice the size of him, and do you know what I mean? He got hurt because of it, but I think he'll get himself a few injuries because he puts himself about. As Mason pointed out, he is 100 miles an hour. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I like about him. In the last Old Firm game, when you seen him, but he had a great game, and no matter this about the reserve team they played and B team and all that crap, but it was their full strength midfield. Do you know what I mean? And he didn't give them a second's piece, and that's what I like about him. It's just the one thing, if he could add goals to his game, then we're in for an absolute treat.
Absolutely, and I think that the good thing with Raskin is he's at the right age. He's early 20s. I like that. he's tenacious. He's like a wee mini Rottweiler in the middle of the park. He's almost like a mini version of Kevin Thompson, except he probably by rights better on the ball. And but hopefully he doesn't have injury history, Kevin Thompson. Starting with you, Kris, because you were speaking about him before we went live. Staying in the subject in the midfield, we do have a question in for Shona, asking about Bailey Rice. Also Shona, one of the new spotters. Could he fill the 5th position here this season? I think I know your answer, and I think you're probably in the same lines as me. I think he's good enough to be in the first team conversation. What's your thoughts?
Definitely. I think he didn't look out of place. Do you know what I mean? No, don't get me wrong, we're going to go over the top and say he was outstanding, but anytime I've seen him, he doesn't look out of place. Do you know what I mean? And I think with this season, I hope with a better team and stuff like that, we should be in a position where we're killing teams off early doors. Do you know what I mean? Instead of that one goal, we're kind of edging about it. I think, especially the games at Ibrox and stuff like that, with the 5 sub rule as well, he should be getting more time. And obviously with the cup games and stuff like that, be no harm whatsoever. There are better players around him, so he'll develop a lot better as well this season. And as I was saying before, he doesn't look out of place, and I think he's ready to take the step up. I know we're always desperate for youth players to come up, and it's like anyone we're clinging on to, we're like, come on, we want to make it. But the boy does look like he is the real deal.
He does, and I think I like the position that he's coming in. When we see young players break through, they tend to be maybe flair players or other strikers, because it's maybe easier to get players in further forward. You said that he wasn't outstanding, but we don't always need a number 6 or a number 8 to be outstanding. We need them to be comfortable. The level of comfort this boy has on the ball, he looks as if he's been playing the game for 30 odd years. He doesn't have to be outstanding to have that confidence. Andy, staying on the midfield then, there's been quite a few comments in for the listeners about Jack and Lundstrom, and Lundstrom in particular, because I think Ryan Jack is maybe a bit different. I think we know how good he can be like when he's fit for Rangers, and he probably does have a bit more credit in the bank with the Rangers support. It's just really about his availability. Lundstrom is a bit of a different one there. He didn't have his greatest games on Tuesday. I'm still a fan of him. I do think he has a place in this Rangers side, but I can see why a lot of listeners and a lot of supporters don't. And with 2 years left in his deal, is this the time to move him on? What's your thoughts on the role that John Lundstrom has to play?
I'm in the same boat as you, mate. I think John Lundstrom and especially Ryan Jack are both players I'd be keeping in the squad, at least for this season. I think it's good to have that kind of cover. I know that, especially with last season, when you somebody would cough and there would be about 8 players out for a month. It's just the way that we've been. That's horrible as well. It's long lasting. Lammers went in a 50-50 and went down holding his ankle, and I thought, fuck, that's 6 months. Oh, Jesus. And then he got up. He was obviously just trying to win the foul. And I went, yeah, cheeky bastard. Honestly, my heart was in my mouth, man. It was horrible. That's just the last season. It's scarring. I think, given that last season, that with the injury record we had, I know we've got Dr. Waller back now, but it's good to have cover because, it's a contact sport, especially with Scottish football. Anyone with a bit of talent gets booted off the park most days. I think with Jack and Lundstrom, they're kind of good players to have around the newer boys now. Not saying they're passing the torch or whatever, if you know what I mean, but it's good to have guys who have. Lundstrom's got a season now, 2 seasons under his belt. Jack's been Aberdeen graduate and then to Rangers, Scotland international. He knows the league inside and out. And if you're bringing in a Cifuentes from the MLS, it's good to have these kind of guys who can help him in the kind of transition period from Major League Soccer to Singe Prem, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think they're useful guys to have around, and even with... Well, I'm hoping we'll have a nice running Europe this season, it's good to have the extra bodies on board.
Mason, moving further up the park here, and obviously tonight's episode is titled "Danilo or No Deal." That's my poor attempt at being clever on the Rangers. Thanks, you're too kind.
Superb.
Obviously, we started without a recognised striker. I don't see Matt as it's an out-and-out number 9, and I think we know Lammers has got to play a wee bit deeper, just in between the lines between the midfield and the striker. The reports are that Feyenoord are holding out for €6 million, and Rangers are still in conversation with how they get closer to their own valuation. But we know Danilo isn't the only striker that we're looking at. I suppose the question I put to you, how important is a number 9 to come in alongside Dessers?
I think it's vital, Colin, to be honest. I think the fact that Cholak's gone the other way sort of signals that another one's going to be coming in. I don't see us going to get two more now. I think if we get Danilo in, that will be it, unless we sell Sakala, Matondo, someone like that, and then another forward flag goes. Obviously, see there, Andy.
Only Sakala, not Matondo, only Sakala.
And obviously, that we had Davey T sticking the boot into Lundstrom, which I was waiting for and all. But no,
see, the funny thing is, Davey T wasn't watching the pod. He heard me mention John Lundstrom, and just something went up in his ears, and he thought I'll log on.
The Lundstrom signal went off in the sky.
I'm just sitting here waiting for it, and there it was. But yeah, to be fair, Danilo looks really exciting. I think for me, the signings we've made sort of so far, I said Dessers is the one that I'm most excited about. I think that number 9, I think he'll score a lot of goals for us. But I think Danilo coming in as well, especially for that sort of $6 million fee that's being touted, and if he comes in as well, I think he comes in as a starter and we go with 2. And he plays that sort of second striker. I don't see him coming in and being number 2, and I don't see Dessers coming in being number 2. So that's really exciting, and that's something we should have done for a long time, especially in Scotland. We should be playing with two strikers. So I'm excited to see that, and I really hope we get Danilo, because listening and watching what the Feyenoord fans are saying about him, they don't want him to go. So I think that's always a good sign. So let's hope Bill can work his magic and the ball can get this one over the line.
Kris, obviously we've sold Cholak on for the region of £2.5 million. We sold him for more than what we paid for him. Great bit of business. Shortlight's trying to grow for around 500,000 to 700,000. There may be others that grow. And Rangers are giving Michael Beale money this summer to spend. So a lot of fans are getting frustrated that we're just not meeting the valuation of Feyenoord Danilo. Like, if we're getting this money in, just spend the money. I don't want to sound as if I'm a happy clapper, but I don't think Rangers are in a position they can just match every valuation for every player. I think we do need to still be stringent with our funds and try and get the best value. What's your thoughts? Should we just go and pay the money, or are we going about it the right way?
No, we're going about it the right way, mate. We need to learn from our lessons. Do you know what I mean? You look back in the day, we were told a figure, we were paying it. We were probably paying more than what teams wanted. And look where we ended up. Do you know what I mean? 2012 was only 11 years ago. We need to remember, as much as we want to be signing players, and we want this player and we want that player, and we need to keep a level head. First and foremost, we need to have a club. Do you know what I mean? It's easy to say, they want 6 million, just fire it at them. If the club needs to obviously work out what we can spend, then make the judgment, is he worth it as well? Because I think he is, and a lot of fans are saying he is, a lot of Dutch people are saying he is, but you think if you're spending £6 million on a player and it doesn't work out, there's a lot of questions going to be asked. Do you know what I mean?
Ken,
if you're spending £6 million on a striker, I'd be expecting at least 20 goals a season from him. He might not say at least first season. You know how impatient our fans are. Do you know what I mean? If he doesn't settle straight away, then the pressure is on big time, and the pressure's on Beale for that as well, because it will always be remembered as Beale spending that on a striker that didn't work out. So I think I trust Beale, and he will have done his homework. That's one thing I do like about him, is Beale seems to do his homework, and he seems to do it himself as well. He doesn't get other people to do it for him. He seems to be really involved with it, and I think or obviously they need to have the discussion with the board and make sure we're being sensible about it. Do you know what I mean? I want him in as well, and I can find myself getting a wee bit impatient going, get him in. Do you know what I mean? But we need to keep a level head, and if it's if we're going to spend it on him, then it needs to work. Do you know what I mean? Because the last 2 seasons have hindered us with the striker situation. Do you know what I mean? The going to Seville and they're running into the league that season when Morelos got injured and Roof was nowhere to be seen. We never had a striker. And last season, after Kolak got injured, we had a uninterested, unfit Morelos. Do you know what I mean? So we're playing most of that kind of. When Morelos playing, wasn't really interested or at it. Do you know what I mean? And relying on Sakala kind of thing. But I think if we do bring a man in, then it gives us a wee bit as well where we lacked goals from all over the pitch, but if we've got him on the pitch, Lamber's on the pitch, Desser's on the pitch, do you know what I mean? Tavernier's always going to pop up with goals. Hopefully that will give us a position where we are seeing off these games now, do you know what I mean? People are chipping in and we're not scraping by 1-0s, 2-1s, we're 3 or 4 nothings again, do you know what I mean? You can relax watching Rangers instead of watching it behind the couch, or if you're at the game, that nervy kind of on edge feeling where if the other team get a throw in an hour and a half, you're like, here we go again. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know if I'll ever be relaxed watching Rangers. I'll be honest, it's too far gone. But no, I do agree with you, and I shared a comment for Callum C, one of the subscribers there, about we should have a list of backups for that situation, and it was refreshing to hear Michael Beale just come out in the open saying that we are in discussions with other players. We should have a big list of types of players we want, start from the top and work our way down, and it's ideally we get the first choice, but it won't always work out like that in football. Andy, where do you... So with another striker coming in and out with swapping like for like, do you think we need to add any more signings? So when I say swapping like for like, if you maybe bring in, for example, a Panzo for Davis or a Cifuentes for Kamara, other than a striker, do you think we need to add anywhere?
I don't really know if we need to add in anyone else. I think the key one, if we were swapping like for like, was going to be what we're doing in the goalkeeper situation, as we said. I think I'd be happy if we get Cifuentes and we get Danilo and we call it there. I think we can get by with the centre halves we've got. I think the kind of Panzo and Trusty and all that kind of stuff, that's kind of gone on for quite a while, and it's kind of we're not making a lot of ground. So it makes me think, are we really interested in them? I know we say we don't just chuck money at a player just to bring them in, but if we were really interested, you would have heard a wee bit more. I mean, like, the way football is today, nothing's a secret. That's all thanks to Fabrizio Romano. I think I'm kind of happy with who we've got. Even I know the one we've not. Well, Kris talked a wee bit about him. His lack of having Kamara and the run to Seville. I don't want to say it, but he's been not injured.
For fuck's sake.
I'm sorry.
He's just fell there. He's just fell as you said that.
I know. If we can keep him in there as well, because we've seen him positioned to going wide as well sometimes. So even if we're going the way we were playing against Newcastle, where you could kind of get the Cantwell, Lammers, Seema, he can fill in the wide, but cutting in as a striker. Because I have a feeling that, as Kris said earlier, Seema was kind of struggling with winning the knockdowns, because I had a feeling that Cantwell, or if it was going to be Dessers and having Seema, you're going to have the striker knocking down to too narrow or not. Was it not have wingers? We have number 10s. Is that what was the Gerrard thing?
Inverted wingers.
Inverted wingers. Yep. I seen it. I had a feeling that Seema was kind of trying to work down to the two kind of narrower wingmen. It just kind of didn't work with the Newcastle kind of that they started really well, and Seema didn't really get much off the knockdowns. Having Roof, I think, kind of sorts of striking formation for me. If you bring in Cifuentes, you get rid of the Deadwood, Kamara, you're fine. I think we'll be happy with Balogun as a signing. I'm not too worried about it. I think you're getting a guy who is going to be realistic, and that's kind of what I'm happy with about it. He's not going to be coming in here and throwing his arms in the air and going, why am I not getting this? Why am I not getting that? Which is the confusing thing about the rumours of him down in tools at QPR, because it doesn't sound like him at all. I'm happy. This is exactly what I wanted to be when we were talking about, well, we've only got 5 games to go until the end of the season and it's it done with. This is where I thought I was wanting us to be. I'm happy with the players we've got. Obviously, if Newcastle want to spend 50 million on Sakala, then it changes the game a little bit. We can have a look. One of the things you were saying there, just to circle back with having the options if Danilo does fall through, is good, because I think we again bring up the flashbacks. I think we all put our eggs into the Joey Veerman basket, and it fell through. It's good that we are future proofing for all possibilities. So yep. I'm really happy with everything. It's good that we're saying happy thoughts about Rangers. It's great.
Well, I do agree with you, but with Rangers being back in action comes the sobering realisation that we need to face Scottish football again. And I do want to touch on the Hamburg friendly, but Mason, you know, the season's not even kicked off, and we've had another saga of drama. Well, 2 parts. Obviously, we had the non-apology for Doncaster about the sound deal, and it's nice to see Rangers win in the boardroom, first of all, but not to spend too much time on that. I think the biggest news is Viaplay. And listeners, you might be thinking, right, okay, I know it's more wider Scottish football related. I think we do need to touch on it as a podcast because it does impact Rangers. But the news broke, Mason, that Viaplay have stopped all the UK coverage, meaning we're going into a season with two of our major domestic trophies won't be televised as it stands. It's good to be back in with Scottish football, eh?
It's just peak Scottish football, isn't it? And it's under the running of Neil Doncaster yet again. I thought the whole Viaplay idea from the start sounded like an absolute disaster. It's no wonder it's not making any money, because it's only for teams, like us and the other side of the city that would pay to be in it the whole season. If your team goes out of it, you're stuck with a subscription that you don't want, and there's no point having. So many people, even the international games that obviously Scotland are playing on there, people just won't pay it. It's just, how many subscriptions are there at the minute, to watch a game of football? It's ridiculous. But this is Doncaster, and again, he'll still be here, sitting here and making the same mistakes and not taking the game any further forward, just taking it further back and picking up 400 grand a year. It wouldn't happen anywhere else, to be honest. Any other football association the professional, that want to make the game better. You've got, countries like Norway, Sweden, Denmark. Their TV deals are 10 times better from anything that we can get. And the clubs in Norway, Denmark, Sweden don't have the old firm and the size of clubs. So what is he doing here? Who's doing the pitches to get these TV deals? And that takes it back to the Sky Sports one as well. To sign the deal with Sky Sports as quickly as they can, that was a disgrace. You're seeing now all the other leagues signing deals, waiting for the streaming ones to come through and the money that they're going to make. And all it will do, these leagues that are, that we're ahead of at the minute, they'll just overtake us because they can. It's so important. And Doncaster needs to go, and I'll be on here, and I hope we all will, and all the podcasts saying it, because it needs to change quickly.
It's got real Satanta vibes. And I know that's an easy comparison. It's an easy comparison because it's the exact same fucking thing that happened, and we don't learn from our mistakes. But Kris, with this Viaplay deal, Mason's right. It was a terrible deal to begin with. There's not enough demand to watch Scottish football to justify 3 different subscriptions that you need to watch your club in all competitions. But with this collapse and the farce that was the cinch lawsuit between Rangers and the SPFL, I'm going to sound stupid here because I've said it many times before. Surely Doncaster can't survive this, or am I being naive?
He will survive it, but any other job on the planet, if you make the mistakes he's making, then you'll be out the door. I was astounded to see that he's got a 2-year notice period. So even if they wanted to bang him, it would still, what do you call it? He'd still have 2 years to go. Do you know what I mean? It's unbelievable. He must have some dirt on somebody high up. Do you know what I mean?
Aye. Yeah, he's got studies when he studies a Dave King somewhere, surely.
It's a bit like our First Minister. Just makes mistake after mistake, failed operation, and he seems to get promotions. Do you know what I mean? Neil Doncaster, his next job will be First Minister.
Fuck's sake, man! I can't imagine who's running Scottish football. But you're right, Chris. It is a good comparison. Like, it's somebody that falls upwards, the more he fails, the more he cements himself in the job. And I'm no one for the tinfoil hat conspiracies, but I can't really point to any other way. It must be like he must have done on somebody, or there's clubs just wanting to self-serve, and I think it is the latter.
Absolutely, he's a fall guy. I mean, the people know that. The guy's, to put it nicely, the guy's a moron.
Andy, any thoughts?
I think the Viaplay things, as you said, you mentioned Setanta, that word Setanta. I got some kind of backwards insight, completely nothing to do with Rangers. We were talking about Viaplay and who really uses Viaplay. And I'm not going to tell you I watched the rugby league on it, but I take an interest in the Glasgow Clan, the ice hockey team in Glasgow, and the Elite League, which is the British Ice Hockey League, is on Viaplay. And recently, the club themselves, much like Rangers, had some financial issues and was bought over by who was effectively the owner of Setanta Sports, and he also then that continued as Premier Sports, which then obviously was in Viaplay. It seems like a bit of a shit show, to be honest. It's rare you see anything brilliant about that kind of whoever seems to be sponsoring the League Cup seems to go out of business. They divide their profits by zero, and then all of a sudden we're without a sponsor again. It'll be interesting to see where we go with it. It's just a weird one because as you said, Viaplay. I mean, we pay for it in my house, but as I said, we watch the British League does the American Ice Hockey League, so that covers. It's nice if it covers Scotland and Rangers as well in the cups, but I'm not going to sit and watch the rally bikes and bike race and raceways and rugby and stuff like that. So it was kind of like, I think somebody had obviously said Viaplay are interested, and we've just taken the first offer, being Doncaster, obviously. I don't think there's any creativity in that man whatsoever. It's just whatever the kind of easiest option is, we'll take, and it doesn't matter what it means down the line. Doesn't matter how long we're going to be stuck in it. It's lame in it, and you wouldn't see anybody else's league being run like that. As Mason said, you've got even we talked about Dutch football and even to go to another controversial point of Scottish football, that to get into the Eredivisie in the Netherlands, you need to have a grass pitch, and the Dutch FA will help clubs that have just been promoted who don't have a grass pitch pay for a grass pitch. Meanwhile, you've got Kelly, Levy, Hamilton. Everybody remembers Jamie Murphy, the knee injury at the start of the season. It's just ridiculous that our Scottish game is just ran into the dirt constantly, and he gets away with it all the time.
Yep, and as we continue to do the same things over and over as a footballing country, we will not get any different results. So hopefully with the inquiry, which is going to apparently be launched in October into the SPFL and the runnings of it, we maybe see some change, but I will not hold my breath. Picking it back up then, Mason, let's look ahead to Saturday. So the players have got some minutes in their legs between the game in Germany last week and the Newcastle as well. And it's a few days of pre-season training. So I'm expecting Rangers to be sharper and to apply themselves a bit more towards Hamburg, and obviously look a bit better against a bit of a lesser opposition. That's no disrespect to Hamburg. Are you expecting to see any changes, any new faces, any old faces returning? What would you like to see on the pitch on Saturday?
I think we will definitely see some changes. I was a little bit surprised. I think Lammers and Simmer got over an hour. I was quite surprised with that, considering looking at our forward options at the minute. Dessers comes back in the squad. Don't expect him to start though. Probably come off the bench. But hopefully Raskin starts. But yeah, it's just I think more of the players that we see. Yilmaz has got to get more minutes. I was surprised to see him. He didn't start. Saturday was a little bit of a Tuesday was a little bit of a worry because Borna Barisic. I know no one's really gone into that, but if we're going into the season with him at left back, I'm really concerned. I think that's a real weak point in our team, and when I'm looking at it at the moment, I hope Yilmaz makes it his own, but he needs to go and do it. So hopefully he does get a start. Really glad to see Tom Lawrence might be involved. That was a really positive from Bill on Tuesday night. I don't know if being involved just means he's there and does the warm up and he's he's been out so long. I'll be really surprised if he does get any minutes. But the fact that he can get involved in it is brilliant. And as Andy said earlier about Kamar Roof as well, it's been a couple of weeks and he's trained and he's had this operation. So all we can do is sort of hope. I do think it will be his last season with us, but we all know a fit Kamar Roof, what the damage that he can do. It's just, I feel like we've been saying this so many times that when I do look at the squad, I sort of look over him. But looking forward to the game Saturday. Obviously, the opposition's not going to be as good as Newcastle, so hopefully we see a bit more, better forward play and some more goals and go from there.
Obviously, it's the second game at Ibrox, but the first game on Tuesday night was really tailored towards Alan McGregor, the testimonial. There was a bit of emotion behind it, a packed house. Kris, I think this is going to be a wee bit different. We are very much marketing this as, two clubs come together like in partnership with each other. There's actually a welcome party tonight, tomorrow night, sorry. Edmondson House starts at 6:30. There's going to be a bit of a fan festival fun day feel to it on Saturday. I know you and I are making a day out of it, going up a bit early. I'm expecting the atmosphere to be buzzing. Saturday 3:00 kickoffs, the way football should be.
Absolutely, mate. And I was speaking to my mate this morning about it, and you need to just make the most of 3:00 on a Saturday, because do you know what I mean? All it takes is just to drop into the Europa League and we're back to Sundays at Ibrox. The dreaded dark nights at 3:00 on a Sunday and it's pitch black. I think Saturday will be the first 60 minutes will more or less be what he's thinking about his first team or who he wants in contention for it. As Mason said, Beale mentioned that Dessers, Ruth and Lawrence will feature at some point on Saturday, so it'll be good. It'll just be good to see Lawrence again after such a bad injury. It'll mean a lot to him to get back on that pitch as well. And something that's not really been brought up. I thought Hadji done well when he came on Tuesday night. He had some good touches, and maybe that's the kind of opposition he'd be more suited against. I think obviously he'll feature a wee bit on Saturday as well. I think this is a big time for him because he's been out of the team for so long and he kind of lost his place. And if he wants to come back, then he'll need to start performing. So I think he'll feature for a bit. Again, with Mason, that I hope Yilmaz comes in and takes that spot, because I can't watch Barisic any longer. Do you know what I mean? If we lose that same goal to Celtic again with Barisic conceding it, then I'm going to dodge my eyes out. Do you know what I mean? It's just brain damage, and it happens time and time again. And Barisic had a good season with us, and he's just been missing the last couple of years. So I think his time's up. I think hopefully he was playing in Tuesday as a kind of same as Scott Wright, so they can have a kind of goodbye in front of the crowd and one last time at Ibrox. Do you know what I mean? Because they'll never play at a club like Rangers again. So I could understand if they wanted that goodbye.
Absolutely, and players like Scott Wright, I don't really have any ill wish towards, but Yanis Hadji is an interesting one that we haven't touched on. I do agree with both you. Incidentally, I'd like to see Yilmaz. Yilmaz is my left back for the Rangers team this season, on current form. But Andrew, Yanis Hadji, we've seen him play maybe a wee bit deeper than we've used to seeing him play on Tuesday. My worry, as much as I'm a Hadji fanboy, it's a heavily heavily competed for position at number 10 in that attacking midfield role, especially with Tom Lawrence coming back as well. It's interesting. You'll see people talk about Alex Lowry as well. So, talking about Hadji and Lowry, do you see them feature much over the next few games?
I mean, as you said, Colin, big Hadji fanboy. Me and you, we, as you said, we run the Hadji RSC supporters bus. I rate Hadji very highly. I know there was a bit of talk of him moving. I think Italy was one of the rumoured destinations for him. But I think I remember something along the lines of it. He said that the last time he was in Italy, it was the worst time in his career, and he said his personal life took a dip, and so I don't think he'd be rushing to move back to Italy on a permanent deal. I think he's a couple of games away from hitting top form again. I think we need to remember that without Yanis Hadji, we wouldn't have had a Seville run. He started part of the kick-start and return to form when we went to Brøndby away, and he slot in like a really equaliser, and he, on his day, I think he's a real top player in this team. He's so technical. That brain is I'm presuming he must be brilliant at chess. He's about 7 moves ahead of every other player in the park. I think the deeper role will actually support him, because I think everyone will say the same thing. What's your thing that Hadji is missing? Pace. I think in the middle of the park, when he's got maybe a bit more time with the ball to pick a pass. I mean, the last time I can think of a play off the top of my head was away to Braga in the Europa League, where Hadji picks the ball up in the centre circle and pings the ball in behind to Kent, and he goes and scores. It's that picking the back line with a ball over the top, slipping a ball through the short one. I think a slower play in the middle of the park actually will do the world of good for Hadji. Lowry, it's the great conundrum, in it. What do you do to loan or not to loan? It's hard because the way that our youth team set up is so poor. I mean, the best in class B team fixtures that we're doing now, I think that worked out better before we went into the lower league or whatever it was. I don't know if you're going to see him maybe play as a senior player in some of those games. I think Leon King did that the last time it was implemented. You'd have to be quite selective if you're going to loan him out, because there's no point in playing with a team where he's going to get booted, because if you're going to get kicked about in the Premiership, the Championship guys, if he busts a step over, he's going to get injury cropped for half a season again. Whether or not you try and get him in get more sub appearances under his belt, then maybe that'll boost the confidence. He maybe even starts some games. You never know. I think it is a really difficult question that Michael's going to have to try and answer. I think he needs to really be in the ear of Lowry. What does Lowry think? Where does he think he is in this team? Because I know he'll be in training every day. He'll see these guys coming in and go, am I going to get in ahead of such and such? It's a tough question. I think Michael's going to have to take a quite hands-on approach with his development to see where he's best fitted in this team, or if it is out in one.
And it's a nice problem we have. So many talented players in that one position. We just need to make the most of it and make sure we manage it right. But the very last point I want to come to tonight, Jensen, finishing a wee bit of high. Mason, I'm quite sick of just all the amount of tops that they bring out, and there's almost a welcome. I'm surprised there's no a welcome Hamburg to Ibrox working training kit. However, I've been delighted to see the leaks we've been getting about the third kit announcement tomorrow. A throwback to the old orange and purple stripes. What's your thoughts on this top? I think it's an absolute cracker if it's gearing up to what I think it will be.
Yeah, this has potential to be the best kit yet. Obviously, at the minute, trying to get a wedding, and Castor keep bringing out all these kits. And I've sworn that I won't buy any more, and I've seen that today, and I'm like, oh god, I'll definitely have to try and get one tomorrow morning. But no, it's a cracker. I think, to be fair, all 3 kits this season, I think they're pulled them out of the bag. I think they're really good. They take a lot of criticism, and I feel like any kit manufacturer we had, I think we're all different with our opinions. We'd all be moaning, but I think they've pulled it out of the bag. But that third one is yeah, especially if it's got the badge in the middle as well. I'm a big fan of kits that have that. So yeah, excited to see it tomorrow morning.
Kris, I'm hoping you'll be a fan of it because I've seen you on this pod be that top a couple of times, and I mean, you're a handsome man at the best of times, but you take up a notch when you wear that gear.
Oh mate, it's a belter. Honestly, Castore have really stepped it up this year. So there's been a lot of complaints about the quality of the strips, but if it's as good as the leak is, then it's going to be an absolute belter. I think that will sell more than the home top.
I think so. Do you think they'll wear it on Saturday?
Aye, definitely.
Aye, that's
Course,
Andy.
if there's a coin to be made, Rangers will be wearing it.
Oh, fuck, I know, man. I know. Andy, is a full house on the appraisal of the top, or you got to throw a spanner in the works here?
The thing I'm looking forward to the most is when we put the post on the website and we describe the colours, and Rangers media team do their absolute best to not say it's orange. Remember the Hummel orange Mandarin top. You know, it's certainly one that when I get paid at the end of the month, I'm getting. Because I mean, what else have I get do with money at my age just to buy Rangers tops and alcohol probably. It's good being young, yeah, it's an absolute cracker. I've been one of the lonely defenders in the Castore band. I think at the start, when with the way that Bisgrove started these 10-year Rangers, it followed up with Castore and some of the quality concerns. I think it was easy to just go, Ollie, it's shit. Bisgrove's had his redemption arc. Castore's had a redemption arc. You know, I'm happy. I mean, I've not had any issues with Castore. I think, especially the one you're wearing, Colin. I think that was a lovely top that year as well. Their away top the year was lovely as well. But you know, it's always going to be a difficult task to make kits that all Rangers fans can agree on. I think my favourite thing was seeing the Hummel kits and people going, "Why do we need to have the chevrons?" And it's like, well, Hummel known for one thing. But yeah, I think it's been a resounding yes from the Rangers support this year, and top marks for Castore, especially when you compare it to the other side of the city. Jesus.
Obviously, all of this goes in the bin if we don't have a treble winning season. I mean, a top's only as good as the amount of trophies that you win in them. But I think that's a good time to wrap up. Gents, just before we do, a wee call to arms for the listeners. I'll put on all the social media pages and follow before the post got fucking taken down. I don't know why. About the Gallant Few's Fantasy Football League. So this is completely free to enter, but there is a £300 cash prize as well as monthly prizes ranging from more cash and restaurant vouchers for manager of the month. Free to enter. Wanted to just give something back to the listeners for all your support as well. So if you're into fantasy football in the English Premier League, go in and I've put it on YouTube, I've put it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Go and get the details to there, and it'd be great to see as many as get involved with that. As always, thank you to everybody who watches, subscribes, and listens to the pod. If you do like what you see, you can get additional content, daily content, if you do subscribe for £1 a month on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube in the join page. It'd be great to see as many as if you can. If paying for content isn't your bag, things are like help us out with the old algorithms. It's much appreciated. But Mason, I've podded with you 2 nights in a row. I feel like you're like women in buses, man. I don't see one for ages and then get a doubler at the same time. Good to have you on, mate. Thanks for coming on.
No, I was going to say that myself. It feels like, I've not had one with you for ages and then 2 come along. But no, it's been great. Glad that the football's coming, back now. And looking forward to Saturday. Hopefully, we'll see maybe a new signing with that new top on that. That would top it off. But that would be quite something.
Kris, always a pleasure. Never a chore, my man. Thanks very much for coming on. It's good to chat to you.
It's great to be on, mate. I think I've been on with you for a good time anyway. Since the first round of the quiz.
And we know how well that fucking went.
But I know, mate, I'm looking forward to Saturday, my first game of the season, and we get to meet up. And I think we're in a lot better position than we were this time last year. So all good, and here's to a good season and hopefully some success again.
Amen to that, brother. And last but not least, representing the young team, Andy Stewart.
Yeah, cheers, Colin. Having me back on. I feel like I'll complete the full house. I've not been in a pod with you in ages. It's
like
been
fucking New
away.
Year, isn't it? Oh,
It's,
fucking hands on each other. I love you. I've not seen you in ages. I'll text you tomorrow.
it's always good being on these lists. It's great. Always good chat, you know. And it helps that David T's phone's not going off every 2 minutes, you know. So yeah, can't ask for much more. Thanks for all the listeners again tonight. Always good comments, and as always, roll on Saturday.
Roll on Saturday, and you know, if you do subscribe, I'll be with you tomorrow morning with the news. If not, I hope to see some of these at Edmiston House or Ibrox on Saturday. Until then, have a good weekend. We are the people.